I never had made this conscious decision, no, now I'm going to write songs, but I think it was this combination of loving books and writing and always having music in my life.
You get a fast car. I want to take her to anywhere.
When Tracy Chapman released Fast Car in 1988, no one could have anticipated the success it would have. I mean, think about it. In a time of flashy, electric, guitar-driven hair metal and upbeat pop from the likes of Bon Jovi, Poison and Def Leppard, with big choruses and big production, Tracy Chapman's Fast Car was, well, not that. It's an acoustic ballad, a socially conscious acoustic ballad, about two young lovers longing for a fresh start. The song offered a raw and introspective narrative about poverty, hope and longing for a better life. It's totally stripped down, led by a soulful vocal performance, and focuses on social realism and depth. It didn't quite fit in with something like... Yet, the song performed incredibly well. It climbed the charts and established Chapman as one of America's most promising young songwriters. Hey, if you love delving into music history like I do, make sure to click subscribe and join the pack. When Chapman wrote Fast Car, she was an unknown singer-songwriter performing in bars and cafes near Tufts University, where she was studying. In a 2010 interview with the BBC World Service, she said that like much of her debut album, Fast Car was an attempt to capture the world as I saw it when I was growing up in Cleveland, Ohio. Chapman was raised in a struggling community, and she described a world where people were working hard and hoping that things would get better. Now, she wrote the song late one night in 1986, and she had an unlikely writing partner. Chapman later said in an interview, "I had a small dog, a miniature dachshund, and she stayed up with me that evening. She didn't always stay up if I was late, but I think she was sitting on the couch right next to me when I started working on the music and the first few lyrics. I believe the first part of the song that came to me was the opening line, 'You've got a fast car.'" According to Chapman, as she played, her dog's ears perked up, as if sensing something special was in the making. At the time, Chapman wasn't entirely sure who the song was about, but later said that she was channeling her parents. She imagined their early days together, meeting for the first time and dreaming of a better future. Both her parents had little formal education, making life difficult, but their determination and hope for more likely influenced the song's narrative. The words began to flow, and soon Chapman had completed the track. Fast Car became part of her set list at the Cappuccino Coffee House, along with Talking About a Revolution, where she was discovered by a fellow Tufts University student, Brian Koppelman. He just so happened to be the son of a music publisher, Charles Koppelman. Blown away by her performance at a cafe one day, he approached her and said that he and his father might be able to help with her career. Brian was previously instrumental in helping a young Eddie Murphy sign his first record deal for a comedy album. As a teenager, Brian managed local bands in Long Island and booked acts at a nightclub, which eventually led to his connection with Eddie Murphy. So on that day in the coffee house, Chapman swapped some details with him and went home, not really thinking much about it. Chapman had also had an agreement with the university's radio station, WMFO, to give some demos of her songs airtime. And one of these songs was Talking About a Revolution. Now, Brian, clearly infatuated with Chapman's potential, secretly stole a copy of the demo from the radio station and shared it with his father. His father ran SBK Publishing at the time. Brian also shared it with other local radio stations who soon picked it up and started gaining traction. This then led to Chapman signing with Elektra Records with help of Charles Koppelman. Now, enter David Kershenbaum. He was a producer working at Elektra Records. Previously, he worked at Capitol Records. And in fact, he worked on Duran Duran's album Rio. And he actually played a pivotal role in boosting Duran Duran's Rio album in the US. Initially struggling with low sales, Capitol Records turned to Kershenbaum, whose dance remixes of tracks from Rio gained popularity with DJs. Following the success of the Carnival EP, most of the album was remixed and re-released in late 1982, now marketed as a dance record. The new approach paid off, leading to multi-platinum sales, the breakout success of Hungry Like the Wolf, and Rio peaking at number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100. The album eventually achieved double platinum status and spent 129 weeks on the charts. So Kershenbaum was a producer that certainly knew his stuff, but his success was with a dance album. Tracy Chapman was something completely different. Despite this, he signed on to produce her debut album. Now, when Kershenbaum first heard a demo of Fast Car, he was floored. Recognizing the potential, they immediately began recording, and they really focused on capturing Chapman's emotive guitar and vocals. They added some subtle percussion to tie the arrangement together, and the track was pretty much complete. However, securing Elektra's approval to include Fast Car on Chapman's debut album wasn't straightforward. The label felt the coffeehouse vibe was outdated, and even suggested shortening the first verse. Kershenbaum initially complied, trimming the song, but soon realized the edit disrupted its natural flow. See, Chapman's music was built around storytelling, and cutting sections diminished its impact. So Kershenbaum and Chapman pushed back, and eventually persuaded Elektra to keep the song intact. With that, Fast Car was ready to hit the world, and it would go on to define her career. "I was simply doing pretty much what I had been doing for quite some time," Chapman said in 1999. "I started writing songs and playing guitar when I was 7 or 8 years old. I wrote some of the songs on that album when I was 16. I've been playing the same kind of music until I made my first record, and surprisingly, I found this place in popular music. I really didn't expect that any of my records would be as successful as they have been." Now, aside from the beautifully tender vocal performance from Chapman in this song, the other thing that strikes you are the lyrics. It's told from the perspective of a woman whose life hasn't really turned out as she hoped. "Any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove." As the song progresses, it reveals more about her father, an alcoholic, while her mother dreamed of a better life. "See, my old man's got a problem. He lives with the bottle, that's the way it is. He says his body's too old for working. His body's too young to look like his. Mama went off and left him. She wanted more from life than he could give. I said somebody's got to take care of him, so I quit school and that's what I did." By the chorus, Chapman is reflecting on better times, when they had bigger hopes and dreams while driving this fast car. "Won't have to drive too far, just across the border and into the city. You and I can both get jobs, finally see what it means to be living." There's a really sad desperation in these lyrics, isn't there? And in 1996, she told CIDR, "I think that it was a song about my parents and about how when they met each other, they were very young and they wanted to start a new life together. And my mother was anxious to leave home. My parents got married and went out into the world to try to make a place for themselves. And it was very difficult going. My mother didn't have a high school diploma and my father was a few years older. It was hard for him to create the kind of life that he dreamed of, with the education that he had, with the opportunities that were available to him. In a sense, I think they came together thinking that together they would have a better chance at making it." Now, Tracy Chapman's appearance at the Nelson Mandela 70th birthday tribute played a key role in her rise to stardom, turning Fast Car into a top 10 hit in the US. When Stevie Wonder had to cancel his performance due to a scheduling issue, Chapman, who had already performed, stepped in. And this exposure helped to propel her into the spotlight, with Fast Car and Talking About a Revolution from her debut album gaining massive attention. Before the concert, Chapman had sold around 250,000 albums, but within 2 weeks, that number surged to 2 million. In the US, Fast Car peaked at number 6, while in the UK, it reached number 4. Now, for the story of another unlikely hit, go and watch my video about Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart, because it turns out it was originally written about vampires. All explained in the next video.